Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Good to see you. Eric Croft here with Command Your Legacy, and thank you for taking the time to join me today. I'm a 50-pound weight loss success story cancer survivor, former PT struggler with the Army, 26 years in the Army, and for a lot of the years in my life, I actually struggled with PT tests. So I've overcome that inverse, lost the 50 pounds, and then since has faced cancer. So I'm here today to talk to you about a something that's kind of dear to my heart and that I've been a part of quite a bit in the most recent years, especially personally. And it's a topic I want to talk about. I choose. We all face troubles in our life, no matter what they may be. Uh, you know, Throughout our life, maybe you're facing a trouble right now, and maybe you do not like where you're at right now, or where you're at in life, and you don't feel good about this place that you're in, right? Let's think about your current situation for a minute. Think about what you're actually focusing in on that's making you feel that way. How does what you're focusing on make you feel? The situation that you're in, how does what you're focusing on actually make you feel? You're mad, you're disgruntled, you're not liking the fact that things aren't changing. Maybe it's financially, maybe it's employment wise, maybe it's weight loss, maybe it's you're sick, you're sick and having a hard time recovering. Look at the situation. What is it you're actually focusing on that's getting you so upset and so disgruntled and so frustrated with where you're at? Let's take a different approach to the troubles that you're having. Let's focus in on the actual choices that you have right now. Instead of focusing on what you don't have resolution, things aren't going your way in order to overcome the situation that you're in. Instead of focusing on what you don't have, let's refocus that. Reset your mind. Reset yourself into an outlook of what you actually do have. Let's redirect that energy. Let's redirect the negative energy on what you're focusing in on that is making you so upset. Redirect that on what you actually do have going for you. And that's what I'm going to talk about in this series of I Choose. We're going to redirect that and focus in on what you actually do have to change your mindset going forward. And the entire redirection of focus and mindset is what this series is all about. It's going to look at your situation a little bit differently. And today in this I Choose series, and the topic that within this series for today is you always have a choice. Always. No matter what, you always have a choice. No matter what you face in life, you always have a choice. It's kind of like going to a restaurant. When you look down the menu, you have a choice, right, of what you want to eat, what makes you feel good at that moment, and what makes you happy. And you're going to choose that item on that menu that's going to make you happy, right? You're not going to choose something that's going to make you feel bad or something you don't like. Your taste buds are not going to like. You're not going to choose that. So let's look at your choices that way. You always have a choice. And I can tell you that you may not always control what happens to you, but you have a choice in how you actually respond to what happens to you. Example, my story and the fact that I was 50 pounds, a 50-pound weight loss success story, right? I struggled in PT tests with the military for years and years and years, and was always afraid of going into the PT tests and of failing because I was not actually prepared. But then I would turn around and step on the scale too because I was actually overweight, and that overweight always provided, or that me being overweight always gave me anxiety. Am I going to pass the actual tape? Because I knew I was going to be taped. But I had a choice. I had a choice to make to continue on down that path that was making me miserable and to where I was continually struggling, or I had a choice to take a different path and changing that and making a difference in that to where I did not have to choose, or I did not have to worry in the anxiety of going into a PT test and passing or stepping on the scale and having to be taped. Because of the choice that I made, that I had a choice to control on how I responded, I made a change. Dropped 50 pounds, passed my PT test with 90+%, maintaining it, for several years on all the events, not having to be taped, dropped from an extra large uniform down to a small. I had a choice there. Another example. You always have a choice, and how you may not control what happens to you, but you do have control of how you respond. I was diagnosed with testicular cancer in May of 2015. Was not expecting that. That adds on to the story that I just told you about my PT struggles, right? That, up until that point, 2015, I was doing wonderful in my PT. I was in the best shape of my life. I was really having a great, I felt good overall, mentally, physically, emotionally. I mean, everything around me was just great. May 2015, I was hit with testicular cancer out of the blue. Next day that I was diagnosed with it, the day after I was diagnosed, I was in surgery having that testicle removed. 6-week recovery, or 8 weeks, well, basically 8 weeks later, I was having another surgery to where I was being, pretty much filleted open and had 26 lymph nodes removed from my back. I could not control what was happening to me at that point with that cancer and with the surgeries. But I had a choice to make. I had a choice to make in order to change the path on how I was going to handle this. How was I going to recover? How was I going to come back from that? I made the choice that the day after I was released from my 6-week recovery to start working out again. Get back to that place to where I was before that first surgery. 9 months later, I was taking a PT test. 8 months later, I was actually skiing in Colorado, down the blue slopes. 9 months later, I was taking a PT test and hitting my 90% again. 1 year later, from my second surgery, I did a Spartan race. So I made a choice to not let that take me over. So whatever situation you're in, you have a choice to make. You can let the situation control you, or you can control it. Look at what you have in here. Sit back, look at your choices, and say, okay, what is it that's taking me down, and what is it what's the outcome of this? What is good happening around me that I can choose to follow? What is it and the actions I need to take in order to get me through this? Instead of sitting back and sulking and being, letting it consume you, you can turn around and say, I'm going to control the future of this. I'm going to get through it, because the only way through is through. And that is where your choice is at. Which path do you want to take? You want to continue down the path you're on now where you're miserable and you're just upset and, it's everybody's fault? Or are you going to take ownership of it and take a different path and saying, you know what? I'm going to let this slide off my back, and I'm going to take a choice to overcome this, and I'm going to do the things I need to do to get through it. And that's where my story comes into play, and showing you that there's a way through. There's a choice. You always have a choice. I could have sat back and let the cancer take me over and not do anything about it and not do the surgeries, and I could have chosen not to get back into my workout regimen and my nutrition plans and things to get me back to where I was prior to my first surgery. But I knew that that was not the life I wanted to live. That is not where I wanted to live, because I knew what it would do to my world around me. And that is not the world I wanted my kids to grow up in, was me in misery. I wanted to see me as a happy father. I wanted my wife to see me as a happy and fruitful husband that could be, passionately in love with her and show her that she still has a partner in life. I was not going to lay down for her. Or, well, I was not going to lay down in front of and let this cancer take over. I was going to be the person that she needed me to be and what God needed me to be. So that's where it's at, your choice. What choice do you have? So we'll continue on this series, for several more videos here, and we'll have, there's several other things that, you have a choice. I choose. So tune in for the next video to see what the next thing is in this I Choose series, to see what you have the ability to overcome and taking the approach to your situation. I look forward to talking to you soon. If this is something that provided value to you today, share it with somebody and let them know that, hey, you care about them. And you say, hey, I thought of you and figured you could hear this today. I look forward to talking to you soon. Take care.